Hello everyone, I'm Wendell Jones and welcome to this edition of the program Jones and Company. On this program we examine national issues. There are few Bahamians in the country who are as prolific as our guest on the program today. He is a social commentator. Indeed, he is a commentator on Bahamian life, and you would read him and see the cartoons that he has produced over the decades. Indeed, he is one of the most outstanding artists that we have in our country today. Stan Burnside is known as Mr. Cartoon Man in the Bahamas, and it is our pleasure to have him as our guest on the program today. And I've invited him here to speak on a number of issues and to get his perspective since he has been commenting through his work in the newspapers as a cartoonist. Stan, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you today, Mr. Jones.
Thank you so very much. You know, when I phoned you the other day, I know that you were busy. I could hear that you were engrossed in some painting or the other.
Well, you know, my wife protects me so that only certain people can get through.
I see.
You know, and when she said Wendell Jones, you know, I guess she decided you could pass.
I understand. And thank you so very much. You know, how long have you been painting?
I've been painting, actually, I started out as an artist very early, you know. You know, my first marks were drawings because in our community we had a brilliant artist who I think at the time was autistic, and we couldn't sort of recognize how to harness the brilliance that he had. His name was Freddie McSweeney, and he was about 10 years older than my brother Jackson and myself in our community. He was actually the brother of Father Irvin McSweeney. And Freddie was just a magician. And my earliest memories of a line is seeing him taking a stick and just drawing images in the dirt. And he would just have a magical way of rendering. And then later on, he took a pencil and started to draw lines on paper. And I was just hooked from then. And then my Uncle Randall Fox.
Randall Fox, yes.
One day I remember he drew a boat, just a line drawing in perspective, you know, looking through at a 45-degree angle into the boat. So you saw the side of the boat and a little bit of inside the boat. And for a very, very young person, I think I must have been younger than 5 at the time. You know, it was very difficult to conceptualize creating three-dimensional images on paper. And that was quite a challenge, and I remember living up to the challenge because I worked and worked and worked until I finally got it. And then I went to science school and then eventually to Southern Senior School, where our father sent my brother Jackson and myself because Carlton Francis was the principal.
Right.
And I started, you know, by that time I was drawing every day. And there was a young man in my class, Nelson Turnquest, who's the brother, and I know I'm long-winded,
Yes,
the brother of Peter Turnquest, one of the greatest Junkanoo artists. And he and I used to draw these cowboys every day. And it was just like we were dueling, you know. We would go home and bring our cowboys in, and every day everyone would decide which cowboy was the best cowboy. And in that class we had people like Mark Anthony,
Is it Wilson?
Mark Anthony Wilson, Burton Hall, Ronnie Knowles, Venti Ford, And all of these guys were a part of that class. And so, we all had our different talents, and it's amazing how even at that age, you could see certain, and I guess the gift that I recognize that I have always had is that I watch people, and I've been able to see certain talents that they have. And I can identify those talents way back, and when I became a teacher at the College of the Bahamas, it helped me because I could see who the serious students were. But anyway, in that class you had Winnie Ford, and Winnie Ford was just, he was just an amazing athlete. He could do anything, anything, man. He could play basketball, softball, baseball, he could run. He was just a natural. Ronnie Knowles was just a brilliant guy in the classroom, and when it came time for math classes, the teachers used to be angry at him because he could teach the students better about math than they could. Then Mark Anthony Wilson and Burton Hall, they always had larger vocabularies than the rest of us. So, I began to look at people, and there's so many experiences that I've had with great people. I remember there was and I know I'm rambling.
No, you're good.
There was a time when I thought that I could sing,
Yes.
And I really, really wanted to be a singer. And we had a television, one of the few at that time in our neighborhood, and I used to watch all these guys like Johnny Mathis and Nat King Cole singing. And I used to be singing in the shower and singing all over the house, and I should have recognized that I wasn't that good, because my father and mother used to tell me, take it easy and all that, But I had in my mind that I had the gift of singing. And one day I was in St. Agnes Church, standing next to Perry Gomez. And I remember the song was Gentle Jesus, Meek and Mild. And Perry at the time had a soprano voice, a beautiful, beautiful voice. And he raised that voice, in that church. And I looked behind, and there were these two older ladies. I don't know how old they were. They seemed very old at the time. And they started crying, man. This guy's voice was just so beautiful that they started crying. And I said to myself, well, I guess, singing is not for me, But then
You mean Perry Gomez, the current Minister of Health?
Perry Gomez, the current Minister of Health, is sitting, I'm sure, unless he's lost that soprano voice by now, he's sitting on that talent. And so many people who have talents. Slimy Thompson, Dr. Philip Thompson, who's one of my teachers in the Junkanoo Shack, a brilliant artist. He's a surgeon, and I guess as a surgeon he has to be very exact and precise with, he draws with a knife essentially. But this guy has tremendous talent. He could very easily have been one of our greatest artists.
You were around a whole lot of talented people.
A lot of talented people, man. A lot of talented people. I recognize that, many of us walk side by side every day with great people. And we tend to, because they're accessible and they're always there, we tend to take them for granted and not recognize how great they are. Look at John Chippy Chipman. John Chippy Chipman is a fellow who is so accessible, so down to earth, so raw, that we don't recognize how great that man is. This is a man who has taught practically every great Junkanoo drummer. Everyone is proud, every one of those drummers is proud to say they came from his yard. One time I had Sir John, I call him, on a trip with me to Jamaica, to the Heads of Government Conference. We had a Junkanoo group that went there. And there was a cafeteria where all of the Junkanoo and all of the other entertainments, because each country brought their best entertainment. There were, you know, Byron Lee and the Dragonaires and Sparrow and a ballet group from Haiti, and I mean, brilliant entertainment. And Junkanoo was the Bahamian feature. And we were in this cafeteria in the morning eating, and John Chippy Chipman had his drum. And he started beating this rhythm, and in the cafeteria was Sparrow, surrounded by a whole entourage. And after about 5 minutes of beating that drum, Sparrow got up from his seat and started like he was possessed.
Yes, yes.
And by the time he finished, 15 minutes later, he was on top of the table, and the whole room was dancing. And you know, Sparrow went to the producers of the show, and he said that Sir John had to open that show and close that show. You know, that's the kind of greatness
Yes.
that we have that I think we don't quite recognize and celebrate the way we should. But anyway, you know, I ramble because I love my people, you know.
I'm glad that you've given us that perspective. You were formerly trained as an artist in Pennsylvania, I think.
Yes. I had a year and a half at Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts. Mm-hmm. And then I went to the University of Pennsylvania, where I did a bachelor's and a master's in fine art.
And so for your entire life, all you wanted to do was to be an artist?
No. At one point, you know, I thought I was going to be a dentist.
Is that right? After your father?
And Jackson thought he was going to be a doctor. You know, we were going to go into that area because our father was a dentist. Mm-hmm. You know, and I went to Lincoln University, and I was pre-med. And, you know, I took the art class, and I was out there painting and everything. And I met up with some of the most vicious characters you ever want to meet. One was named organic chemistry, and one was named physical chemistry. And they beat me upside my head so much that I decided, you know what? If I become an artist, I'm going to have to work hard, but I'm going to enjoy working hard, you know?
Yes.
You know, if I became a dentist, you know, I would have to work hard, but I don't know if that was for me, you know? Everyone, you know, I know some dentists who love what they do and are very good at it, you know? And I think the key is to find, you know, what your purpose is, as Pastor Miles Monroe likes to say, you know? Yes. I have a cousin, Dr. Herbert Orlando.
Yes.
And years ago, I went to visit him. Jackson and I, we must have been 6 or 7. And he was younger than us. And he had this starving pot cake under his house. I mean, the pot cake was all skinny and smelly, obviously almost dead. He couldn't move. And Herbert was just taking care of that, and remember, he was feeding it with a baby bottle, with a nipple. And weeks later, man, we went back to that house, and that dog was running all over the place, you know? So when Herbert became a doctor, and, you know, he's one of the most popular doctors, his patients love him. It was only natural, because the man was a natural healer, and that's what he loved to do, and that's what his purpose was.
He just loved to do anything to do with caring for
absolutely,
animals or people. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's part of the problem, Mr. Jones, is that we have people who think that they have to be a doctor, a lawyer, an MP, this or that, in order to be happy. But they never get happiness. They never find it. You know,
you have been a major commentator on the socio-economic political scene of the Bahamas for many years as a cartoonist with Sideburns. Sideburns came about decades ago.
1979.
1979.
Yeah, and over 10,000 cartoons later.
You
10,000 cartoons later.
You have impacted politics in the Bahamas in many ways. Are you aware of that? Have people made you aware that you've made a difference in terms of how they saw things and their perspective on things?
I have been told that from time to time. I've received some calls from, and let me just say first of all that Sir Lyndon Pindling, Right Honorable Hubert Ingram, Right Honorable Perry Christie, they have been amazing. Never once during my entire career have I felt any serious pressure directly from them, And I know that sometimes I have done some cartoons that when I look back at some of the comments that I've made must have felt like a knife into them. And I would meet them and they would be always very gracious to me, and even today the present Prime Minister, never a problem. I think that has been the greatest source of inspiration to me as a cartoonist, is that I feel the freedom to do exactly what I want to do, within the limits of libel laws.
And as a commentator, you are commenting on what is happening in your country without fear of any retribution.
Well, I try to be fair, and Charles Carter, my cousin, always says that sideburns is unfair to all. So as long as all of the parties think that I am biased, then I'm okay. The PLP thinks that I'm biased, the FNM thinks I'm biased, the DNA thinks I'm biased, as long as they all think that I'm leaning one way or the other. But it depends on what the topic is and what my angle on a particular issue is.
Yes.
Sometimes they love it, sometimes they don't.
But what do you seek to achieve?
But what I seek to achieve, every time I think that I am going to retire, somebody does something that makes me realize that if I didn't have that forum, I would feel really powerless. It gives me an opportunity from time to time to really spank some people who are in need of spanking. It also gives me an opportunity to help to educate, and over the course of 10,000 cartoons, I have been dead wrong many, many times, and as a result of being dead wrong, I have learned a lot. I have learned as much from some of my detractors who hate the cartoons as anybody, and so they have helped me to grow. But you asked me what do I want to accomplish in the cartoons? What I want to accomplish is, I think I see a few things that I could help with.
But do you have an agenda, for instance, when you are drawing a cartoon? Do you seek in your mind that after I run this cartoon, it is going to change some minds, it's going to make some people think differently or vote differently?
No, I don't. And I know you're surprised at that. What I have respected is that everyone has a point of view, and everyone is entitled to a point of view. And over the years, I realized that sometimes I have felt dead right about my point of view, and I found out later that I was dead wrong. And so I have always tried to respect that whatever it is I am presenting is my angle and my angle only, on the matter. Now, I sometimes, I'm very passionate about certain issues, and certain issues I really feel like I see clearly. And as a result of that, I try to push those issues more than other issues.
Do you come to the conclusion at times that you have misinterpreted certain things happening in the society, and after running a cartoon, you have a new perspective, and you appreciate your misinterpretation of certain things?
Absolutely, absolutely. That has happened quite a few times. You know, in fact, I have had to retract some of my cartoons and write a follow-up cartoon. You know, and I have no problem with that. You know, because I'm not God. You know, but the majority of the cartoons that I am most passionate about, issues nowadays that I have been developing in my mind over all these many years. You know, issues like how Bahamians interact with the Haitian community.
Yeah, we got to get to that.
You know, that, you know, how Bahamians feel about things Bahamian.
Yeah.
You know.
And not all of your cartoons are meant to be funny.
No, no, no.
As a matter of fact, a whole lot of them are not meant to be funny. They're quite serious, isn't that right?
Serious as a heart attack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take this break on the program. Stan Burnside, a great cartoonist, a great artist, our guest on the program today. We'll come right back.